And welcome to the Nurburgring for Formula Sprint 2. It's a Tuesday night. It's wet. And I'm joined by Alex Foulkes. Hello.
Apparently a very small Nurburgring. Yeah, well, that's a tiny track. First,
It's a very, very little track map. Well spotted. I think the track itself is a little larger than that, it being 5.148 kilometers, that beautiful round number. We got 15 laps for both races tonight, but it's the second half of the season, and there are some championships to be won as we get towards the business end of the season. So, yeah, excited to be here with you, Alex, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we have a good race this time around. I have to be honest, I haven't been paying much attention to what was going on in practice. So let me just go and have a look at those results currently over on RaceView, race-view.com. And it was Owen McGallaghy fastest in practice, followed closely behind by James Knox, someone we haven't seen too far at the front, along with Thijs Jongstra as well. So quite a few drivers that wouldn't normally be at the front of the timings, clearly having some performance brought out by the rain, the wonderful German rain that we saw last time we were here.
Yes. Did we? What happened last year?
Not last year, but 2023, I believe.
2023, I was commentating on Super Light. I should have done my research, actually. Yeah, it's you often get rain, like at the Nürburgring, generally, the Nordschleife as well. A track I've driven around. I've had the privilege of going there in my Clio and driving around the epic, however many cars, 150 corners or something, track. This one, the dumbed down version that they built in 1984, and it's been around for a long time now. Only a couple of small changes to the track in that time. It's pretty much untouched for 40 odd years now. So yeah, it's a good little track. It's just the first complex that's changed. That was Herman Tilke's doing, I believe, in the early 2000s. The chicane used to be a lot faster. Now it's a genuine overtaking opportunity into the hairpin. And it's a good little track, actually. It's a nice flowing track. The sweepers connect with one another, and yeah, it's one of my favorites to be honest with you. It's nice to come back here, and this for the first time I think in a long time, if not. It's a downloadable content track from RF2, which means it's laser scanned. Is a really accurate version. You may notice that some of the track ads that we normally have aren't present. It's just one of those tracks that's kind of locked. You can't sort of update the adverts on the side of the track. So normally we have GPVWC plastered everywhere and the other associated sponsors and so on. It's just the default ones, but that's okay. For once we get to see the track in its original glory, but it's very wet today, Alex, and people are going to have to be to be very careful. Seen plenty of wet races this season already, and we know certain drivers such as Brody Lawless much better in the or seems to do very well in the wet, excuse me, doesn't he? And yeah, keep an eye out on certain drivers out there who might be able to do very well in those conditions.
Yeah, there's plenty of drivers that do exceptionally well in the wet compared to what they would normally be performing in dry conditions. Here's Kurt Rochov, who hasn't had the greatest last couple of races, but now setting, according to that graphic, the fastest Sector 1. I don't believe that to be entirely true. If we look at race view, it is Owen Magagi with the fastest Sector 1 by not as large of a margin as you would expect. Kurt Rochov did actually set a relatively decent Sector 1 time compared to Owen Magagi, and will be probably in the running for pole position here. So if you look at it from that perspective, the top 5 will all be fighting for that pole position on the grid. And as we navigate to the second sector line with Kurt Rochov here, we'll get a slight idea of just how fast this lap will be. It's a 47.877, beaten out by 0.2 of a second by Magaugi at the front, who's currently on 2 purple sectors, but through the final chicane would be a lot faster in the dry, but instead we are taking it a relatively neutered speed and this long right-hander for the final corner. You need to get a good exit, and that doesn't seem to be what Kurt Rochov got there, sliding through the corner, not able to find enough grip across the line. Provisionally, he manages to go P2 behind Owen McYagi, but there's still people yet to cross the line. Sandeep Singh, P4, Kasper Kuritz, P3, and Kurt Rochov almost 0.3 of a second behind Owen McYagi there.
Yeah, it's there's going to be some interesting people at play for the positions at the top of the field for sure. Kasper Kuritz has had up and downs recently. He missed the Canada round and had a couple of DNFs that USA and last time out of Silverstone, which took him slightly out of contention for the championship lead. In fact, Sandeep Singh is, despite missing the USA round, is doing very, very well at the top of the standings. So we'll talk about him as well. P4 currently. Brody Lawless as well, we mentioned. P4 in the championship despite missing 3 full rounds. He's been very competitive of late. As Vicentievich crosses the line, 2 minutes, 0.3 for him. As you can see, the target times are a low 56. It is soaking wet out there. This is very, very heavy rain. And I suspect this is pretty much what we're going to see for the remainder of the event. Lots and lots of water down. Junior Lopez, he has also been up and down this season. Missed the last round at Silverstone. He is back for Cap Clay and will be hoping to return to the form he had towards the start of the season, won't he?
Yeah, Junior Lopez with a difficult last couple of rounds. He managed to finish one of the races last time out, but other than that, quite unlucky, you would have to say, and fallen quite far off the back of the championship, which probably not a great time to look at it here. But Sandeep Singh does still lead, as you mentioned earlier, and here's Sandeep Singh coming through the final sector with one more corner to go between him and a potential lap improvement. He is about 0.2 off the current pole time, but whether he can improve past Kurt Rochov and Kasper Kuritz, and he can by almost 0.05 of a second, gets past Kurt Rochov in P3, now moves up to P2, and yeah, that's the kind of performance he'll want to have this time out. Christian Glamsetter with a nice Sector 1 and Sector 2, abandons that lap, moves into the pit lane, and those red wheel hubs were sort of tricking me into thinking he had soft tires on, which would not be a smart decision in this condition. As we cut back once more to Junior Lopez, who hasn't had the greatest Sector 1 and Sector 2, but still puts him around the top 10 as long as he doesn't lose too much time in this final sector. Through the chicane, slidey and struggling to find grip, and all that aerodynamic force that these FS2 cars are really being tested this time around. Through the final corner, Junior Lopez crosses the line and will move up to P16, which obviously not where he'll want to be, but better than dead last.
Yeah, he's got some time to make up, hasn't he? It's pretty clear. Pretty clear that is not going to be good enough if he wants to return to the championship fight. We're going to be talking about it a bit more this half of the season, I would say. It's going to heat up nicely as they go. Kurt Rotiov, as you mentioned, he has had a best result this season of 4th. That was at the reverse grid race at Canada. But he's currently sitting P3 on the grid for Excellion, which is good stuff from Kurt. And I think he's due a podium at some point, I would say. Kasper Koritz as well. Up there in P4, and as we were saying, he's had an up and down last couple of rounds. Joe Gillette out there. It looks like there's a bit of a drier line forming on the track. It's possible that the track is improving actually as we go through the session, because that does not look as slippery as it was, and in fact there's less spray being kicked up on that sort of racing line. That darker patch of tarmac that you can see is actually just the track coming through. So Joe Gillette, purple in the first sector then. Let's see what he can do through the second split as he comes through the left and the right here towards the long back straight where the second sector split is, and he will go through that section now. And he's lost 4/10 in the middle sector. So although he is 6/10 off, he may actually be able to improve his lap time. That was not a good middle sector from him. It was a yellow, which means it's not a personal best.
Yeah, and Joe Gillette with the fastest first sector. That's quite interesting, because as far as I know, there can't be different rain levels at different parts of the track. I might be completely wrong, but as far as I know, it's a literal percentage of track wetness, which we can't exactly see, but it will be available to the observers and the drivers as we cut to Brody Lawless, who has replaced Joe Gillette's Sector 1 fastest time. Joe Gillette did move up to 4th. But Brody Lawless has gone more than just about 3 times faster in that first sector, and is looking rather racy here to try and steal pole position temporarily from Owen Magagi, who is currently out on a lap, but is unable to set a first sector anywhere close to that of Brody Lawless. But the one to watch on this lap around is Kurt Rochov, who has set a very similar Sector 1, as Owen Magagi sets the fastest Sector 2, quickly followed by Brody Lawless, who's just a matter of hundredths behind. And Kurt Rochov also with a very similar Sector 2. So Owen Magagi is in trouble here from both Kurt Rochov and Brody Lawless if he is unable to improve significantly. David DeVries with a purple final sector moves up to P4. For VMS Sun Edits, but around the final corner, that's not looking good for Brody Lawless as he heads to the finish line. Omagagi hasn't crossed yet.
Oh.
Brody Lawless takes pole position by 0.8 of a second, but that is immediately beaten out by Kurt Rochov. We did say man to watch, and there's why. Omagagi almost a second behind now, and that might be right. Look at the track in the first sector. That looked almost dry to me, Toby.
Yeah, the track conditions improving. Magagi didn't improve enough on his lap. In fact, he didn't improve at all. He had a very poor final sector. So Magagi is he's struggling there to maintain that pole position he had at the start of the session. Lawless and Rochiav usurping him, as you say. Junior Lopez coming through now, but not improving as much on this lap. He has gone to P5. The track is definitely drying out. This is not what I was expecting at all. The rain looked absolutely torrential, didn't it, just a few minutes ago? And it's almost looking dry, look, as we go on board with Rochiav, who's purple in the first sector. So anyone who's got fuel, right now, these are the best track conditions. I wonder if it's going to rain again.
Yeah, this is sort of reminding me of what it was.
Look, it's raining.
It is raining. Yes. Wow. Yeah, this is reminding me of what it was like we had this in the F1 race of just rain, sun, and it's just going to come back flip-flopping. And for Kurt Rochav, he seems to have picked the perfect opportunity and the perfect gap in the weather to try and set his lap in anger for pole position. And he's looking like he's on pace for now. He's got one more sector to navigate. Omagagi looking to also beat this. He has set a competitive Sector 1 and Sector 2, but as long as Kurt Rochav is able to improve by a significant enough margin, this pole position's his to lose as we head through the final corner, and it's a bit slidey on the exit, not what he was looking for. Magalgi gets provisional pole, but what can Kurt Rochav answer with? Not enough for Kurt Rochav.
Yeah, and the final sector, look, was a few tenths off. I think the rain has caused the track to move out of that best time period. So, yeah, Magalgi lucky there with the conditions, put the lap together and is topping the timesheets. Look how slippery it suddenly is. Kasper Koretz sliding out of turn 1, Van der Smissen crossing the line 18th, and Rochav, yes, as you say, only a few tenths off, but not good enough for pole position. Christos Philo starting a lap, but the conditions have gone, haven't they? Gone past the best point. And basically, if you've got a poor lap, you might improve, but other than that, it's going to be tricky to get into those top 6 or 7 positions. If you look, it's a 7th place is a second off. It's all about timing, isn't it, today?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at drivers that sort of missed the window, we saw David De Vries and Joe Gillette. They were P4 and P5 at one point. They seemed to get the window just before that almost perfect 2 minutes before that rain came back in. And just look at how many drivers have usurped them of their positions. So this has been a changeable qualifying, but I think based on the weather, this order is where it's going to be. Sandeep Singh, despite this, is able to improve in that first sector. And, you know, this could still be something good for some drivers if they didn't have the greatest of banker laps. Sandeep Singh as well proving that once more as we head towards that sector 2 line right there, and he's looking probably right now to get past Matusz Pishkan, and if he gets a good final sector, potentially getting past Kurt Rochav, Brody Lawless, or potentially being competitive for pole. It's unlikely, looking at the timing screen, that Owen Magalgi will improve his advantage as he crosses the line, and he doesn't. But Sandeep Singh here, potentially looking to improve his grid position 1 or 2 places as he crosses the DRS line across the finish line. And he does move up to P3, taking Brody Lawless's spot as we cut to the other Potentia about to cross the line now. Let's see what position he ends up in. And he actually loses a position as he crosses the line to Tina Curtis for Blue Horns Racing. I hadn't even seen them, to be honest with you, Toby.
No, I hadn't seen them either. This is one of those where Menno sent me a, or has posted the spotter guide, and there's always 1 or 2 names I forget to take note of. So, yes, Tina Curtis driving for Blue Horns, P6 for them. So, great job.
And James Knox coming in with that is an actual purple sector. That is an actual purple sector for James Knox. Where's this come from? We thought the weather was gone. We thought there was no more improvement coming, Toby. But as he crosses the sector 2 line, let's see how this will look for a pole challenge.
Is that wing? I wonder if it's wing related. He's 5 tenths off in the middle sector, which is, to be honest, expected considering I think the conditions have definitely got worse again. Maybe not as bad as they were prior to the I guess dry spell, but yeah, Knox hasn't set a good lap time at all yet, and this will be his one and only, won't it? Because the checker flag flies. Knox coming around the final corner. Can he get himself up the grid? He's P7 in the championship. He's P5 on the grid. So James Knox moves himself up into the top 5. It's a great qualifying for Excellion, isn't it? P2 and P5, and I believe there's only a couple of drivers left out there who could potentially improve. Kasper Koretz is one who needs to. He's doing an okay job. He's only 6 tenths off so far off that provisional pole by Magalgi. Can he cross the line and improve? Yes, P11 for Kasper Koretz. Good job by him.
Yeah, another one that improved quite late was Joe Gillette moving up to P6 just before James Knox crossed the line along with David De Vries. And for Lawless, I think there's no point trying as he goes for a drift around the final corner, and nicely held, Brody. That was probably the most impressive bit of driving we'll see today. And hopefully, nothing. Hopefully, something proves me wrong, and hopefully, nothing gives me a comparison.
No. It's Formula Sprint 2.
There's two races in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some up-and-coming drivers in Formula Sprint 2, but generally speaking, the level is where it should be. It's the 4th division of the career ladder. And yes, it can be a fun watch, let's put it that way. Junior Lopez crossing the line now, moves up to 18th. Yeah, it's just not quite there, is he?
No, it seems to be a challenging bit of conditions and a challenging track for Junior, and he seems to be struggling to get it in a competitive position. And we are waiting on David Jun to, I believe, just set his lap to get into 12th position and will not have another. So that seems to be the end of qualifying, Toby.
It does seem to be. Owen McGaughey then on pole position. Kurt Rodyav, P2. Sandeep Singh, our championship leader, P3. Brody Lawless, P4. James Knox in 5th place with Joe Gillette. 6th, Mateusz Pishkan in 7th place with Tina Curtis on debut in 8th. Domenico Scapelli in 9th place for Potentia, and David De Vrij rounding out the top 10 in 10th position. 11th goes to Mikhail Tuamala. David Junt returning goes to P12. Kasper Koritz 13th on the grid with Thijs Youngstra, who has won a race now, in 14th position, and Bobby Vakuinov in 15th. Those are the points paying positions. Let's see if they stay roughly like that. I doubt it. Highly. Philip Travinsky, P16, Christian Glansetter in 17th place with Junior Lopez 18th, Ben Skinner 19th, and Christos Sfilo in 20th position for RNG. Behind them, it's Juho Soppanen. Caroline Harvig in 22nd, James Andrews 23rd for GPVWC Academy. Johannes Leppit 24th, Victor Bernat 25th place, Alfie Denley 26th, Justin Vandersmissen in 27th place, Andrea Kanaya in 28th with Sergei Soroka in 29th place, Caitlin Penny 30th. And finally, Mihailo Vicentievich and Charlotte Menink 31st and 32nd round out the grid.
Well, it was a qualifying session. Then we have warm-up, a race, and then another race.
Yes, on the world's smallest. It's like a Scale Extric version, isn't it?
I have a feeling there's supposed to be a Nordschleife there that isn't there.
Isn't there? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on there, isn't it? Right, so we had some big news this week, Alex, and I'm glad I've got you with me in the commentary box, because I know for a fact this has been a labour of love for you over the past couple of months. But yes, if you haven't noticed it already, on the GPVWC website, there is an article. We will have a new model for 2026. The new Super League car is now fully revealed. And it's a beauty, actually, Alex. You've done a really, really superb job. It's all to regulations, all to scale. Everything is, I mean, it's perfect. And it will be an indicator of what the cars might look like in Formula One in real life next season. But for us, we're going to start 2026 and so on with a brand new car model that mimics the real life regulations. And I'm very, very excited about that news.
Yeah, it's taken a while. We must have started, I want to say it was February, but I know it was longer than that. It was definitely longer than that. Let me have a look. I did say where we came from. I had a screenshot a while ago, and that was in March when I initially started working on it.
Yeah.
Completely different to what we have now.
Yes. Yeah, the iterations we've been through and all the little modeling tweaks that you've made. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, and for the first time, I think, in quite some time, we'll have a car at the start of new regulations that somewhat matches what we're going to see, hopefully, from the actual regulations. We can't go too complicated because then it's not really a GPVWC car at that point if you go and try and make it perfectly as a current team would have it. That's just not interesting to me or interesting to anyone, and it definitely say, for instance, the Ferrari F1 car. Look at the side pods on that, and you wouldn't want to make liveries for that. No one would want to make liveries for that.
No. But, I mean, it's a nice compromise, I think, because of that, Alex. You know, it's clearly, if looks and feels like a GPVWC car, they all have a sort of style to them that, I mean, for years, Chris Williamson has done that modelling work, and they've been, like the FS2 car that we got this season, it's his work, and it's superb. It looks great. But to make a car from scratch, I don't think Chris would mind me saying that he probably doesn't have time to do that. And I think you've done a really, really good job with the brief that was kind of given. And and to have it ready 4 months later, how many hours do you think you've probably put into it?
I don't want to know. I don't want to guess even. Probably it's at least 3 digits, and it's at least the middle 3 digits. And that's not even to fully complete it. That's just to get it to a point where we're okay with revealing it. So yeah. So that's something else to mention. I put it in the article anyway, but there's still a couple of little placeholder things that are sort of left over that Alex wants to fix. So the suspension, for example, I think you want to rework that, don't you, and make that a little more kind of what the teams might run, and you know, and all the rest of it. So it's not quite finished, but it's finished enough model wise, like the car body wise, to reveal. I think you want to do a couple of little panel changes, don't you? And certainly we need to finalize the template, the livery template. But once that's ready, we'll let you guys know. I think the next thing for us to do is to get it in game one way or the other, and I think we probably need Chris's help for that, Chris Williamson's help for that. Get it in game and just get it out on track and bug fix it and so on, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But still a bit of work left to do. It's not finalized, not completely ready for release, and I'm sure you'll tweak the model a lot between now and the full release. But it's nice to get it out there and show you guys what we've been working on behind the scenes, just generally in the media side of GPVWC. I think it's been a big improvement this season. And certainly we have more content out there and more things for people to do and look at and see. And I'm so grateful, Alex, for all the hard work that you've put in. I think it's been, the feedback overall was very positive, and I mean, it will be. It's an excellent looking car and a superbly detailed model, and well done, mate, honestly. Yeah, it's much appreciated. But let's get back to the FS2 action. More specifically, I did mention the championship in qualifying, and we didn't talk about it. We have got the graphic, our wonderful graphic of the top 10. Sandeep Singh, as I mentioned, leads the championship by quite a large margin, as Junior Lopez unable to score points, in fact, in the previous round, and very few in Canada. So for Junior Lopez, he's one of Sandeep Singh's closest competitors in the early part of the season, now fallen off quite a distance from the championship leader. But Brody Lawless on the upturn in recent races, consistently scoring more points than Sandeep Singh. He's one to watch this race, especially with his qualifying position. So yeah, there's quite a bit going on in the championship, and like you said, we're going to be watching this more closely as we reach the latter end of the season, the more important half of the season, it could be said.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously all points are equal, but the most important point is the one that wins the championship. So it's definitely heating up. It's kind of Singh's to lose at this point. I don't know how he is doing with round availability. Obviously missed the one earlier in the season at USA. Owen McGalgy filling in for him there, but he's back. He's here. He's scored very well last time out at Silverstone. His second best round of the season, as you can see, 36 points from it, and extended his championship lead quite significantly. So yeah, it's certainly at the moment it's his to lose, considering the gap he has. But this is FS2. Anything can happen. You can see straight away it's like pouring down again in warm-up. So I think this will be wet start. The dry line really came on there in warm-up. You can see how wide that was. If it didn't rain, it would be very tempting to start the race on slicks, but clearly some inclement weather around the Nurburg. We have done no nonsense talking in in in
We still got 3
this
minutes.
particular
There's
warm up.
time
I know
there.
we've got 3 minutes. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, we can play. Oh, David Yunt's back, which is nice to see. A very, you won't mind me saying this, a long-term member of the GPVWC community. He's been around the block a few times, probably a few times too many by this point. But he's back in Formula Sprint 2, I think for the first time this season. So welcome back to David Yunt. I remember racing against him probably 12 years ago. Is it that long ago? In touring cars. And we used to have the ITC League at GPVWC. That was a lot of fun back in the day. These days we've just got the 4 main leagues and the Academy Series. At the end of the season we do have the Race of Champions, but yeah, the ITC League was historically a winter touring car league. All these results are available on the GPVWC website. If you go to Services and Results and Statistics at the top, you can have a look for yourself, see who used to be good, and who won the championship in super. You can pick. You can go who won the championship in Super Lights in 2021 and see who did that and who's come up through the ranks and gone back down and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's a nice place to go for historical results.
Well, are we done advertising now? Have we done our GPVWC obligation?
I mean, I'm excited. It's a good time for GPVWC. It's exciting.
It is an exciting time, but oh.
As a car is buried in the gravel without a wheel. What's the weather doing? Let me have a look at the weather forecast, because it's confusing at the moment what's going on.
I doubt looking at the forecast will do as much help. We don't have the tools we had available to us last season to look at what weather we would have in game, unfortunately, but that was quite interesting to talk about. Now we're just shooting from the hip in what we're going to say. Go on, Toby, you've probably got the forecast by now.
And I'm still clicking, hang on.
You're still clicking.
Wow. So rain stops actually in a minute, and apparently it doesn't start again for 20 minutes. That's supposedly the weather forecast. So, ooh, who's gambling then? Who's gambling on slick tyres? Because it's going to be dry for probably the first half of the race. And then, as you can see on there's literally only 2 tyres. There's no Inter in FS2, which is making this a more difficult choice, if anything, because the Inter would be the tyre I'd be starting on if it existed. But it doesn't in FS2, and it's very light rain at the moment as well. So the question is, do you gamble? Do you go for a slick tyre and hope that you can make hay while the sun is literally shining, and then later on in the race, if it does rain, try and struggle through those few laps that you might get wet weather for? I mean, the forecast is, yes, I know, the forecast is notoriously unreliable anyway, so we'll see.
Well, some people are testing the dries, and we're watching one of them currently. Caitlin Penny seems to be able to stay with whichever one of the Cap Clay cars it is ahead on wet tyres. So it could be an interesting gamble at the start of the race as warm-up ends, but that rain looks quite heavy to me, and that dry line I would imagine wouldn't last, or isn't going to last, particularly long. But there's still plenty of time to try those dry tyres.
Yeah. I've just been sent a forecast by Ed, who reckons it's going to rain for the next 20 minutes. So basically, we don't know. So, I think the sensible decision is to be on the right tyre at the start of the race, and then hope that everyone does that, I guess.
Well, strategy is not something we see often, but for the first time in quite some time, we might have strategy in FS2. Last time I remember there being strategy in FS2 was, must have been probably 2023 in Brazil, where we had very similar conditions, gambling on whether to go onto the dry or wet tyres. I remember it.
Yeah, didn't we have this at Silverstone last year, where some were on dry, some were on wet as well? And didn't Caitlin Penny get up to P10 at one point?
We might have done, but that's asking me to remember more than a year ago now.
But how do you remember Brazil 23 but not last year?
Because, well, I remember what I drive and what I engineer, but I don't remember what I I commentate. There's a lot more commentary than there is driving.
I think it's because you're not quite in it, are you? Where like as commentators, we're watching people be in it, but we're not like there. If you see what I mean. So it's harder for us to pick. This is an extraordinarily long end to the warm-up session, by the way. The checkered flag's been out for 3.5 business days by this point.
Yeah, that's average, I think. We just need to force people to escape back to the pit lane as soon as that checkered flag comes out. Because they just do laps and laps after.
Tom Parker has rinsed me in the YouTube chat. It's been longer than that since we raced ITC. Yeah, he's probably right. Another member of the oldies. Tom Parker.
You can use your beloved website to look up and look yourself up, see when it was.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing that now. It's I've got a race to commentate on.
You still got the formation lap. That's going to take at least half an hour.
You can do the grid.
All right. Does that mean you're looking yourself up then?
No. Was that? Yeah. Okay, it was ages ago.
How long ago?
That was a long time. Let's just not talk about it.
I'm looking this up myself then.
Seba Panasenko said boomer. I mean, he's not far off. Honestly, not far off.
You're getting lucky here. Your page on the website is taking forever to load for me.
It was 2013, basically. It was 2013 that we were doing ITC back in the day.
Oh, you were right then. You said 12 years ago.
Yeah, ITC itself was a championship before it came to GPV, so technically Tom's right. Anyway, formation lap, grid's all yours, my friend.
And there it is. Owen Magagi takes pole with Garrett Rochov hot on his heels behind. Sandeep Singh starts P4 with Brody Lawless. No, Sandeep Singh starts P3 with Brody Lawless P4, sorry. Joe Gillette in P5, Matish Pishkan P6, and Tina Curtis and Domenico Scarpelli, 2 blue cars on the 4th row. David DeVries and Miguel Tuamala, 2 red cars on the 5th row. With David Young and Casper Koretz behind them. No colour similarities this time, unfortunately. Tice Youngstra 13th with Bobby Vakanov behind him in 14th. And the last points starter, Philip Savinsky 15th and Christian Glansetter P16. Ben Skinner will be starting 17th with Christos Philo behind him. Juho Sopanen 19th and Caroline Harvig in P20. James Andrews then starts P21 with Junior Lopez, a previous championship contender behind him. Hans Lepit and Victor Bernat starts 23rd and 24th. Alfie Denley starts 25th with Justin Van der Smissen 26th, Andrea Chanelia and Sergei Soroka 27th and 28th. Down to the last couple of drivers then. Caitlin Penny starts 29th with Mihailo Vicentievich P30. And the last 2 drivers, Charlotte Menning and James Knox, who did set a fast time in qualifying, but I think might have had a penalty to start down at the back of the grid in P32. His work is cut out for him, really.
Yes, it is. I can't see what James Knox did to get a penalty of that size, because it wasn't in the FS2 decisions from Great Britain, so I'm not 100% sure how he's got that, unless he hasn't served it from a previous one. So I missed that as a result of that. Obviously, I had that page open to see what was happening. But anyway, some mixed choices here. I hope this is accurate. It looks like Magaugi has gone for slicks along with Joe Gillette, Johannes Lepit, Kanaya, Soroka, and Caitlin Penny. So I think there's some gamblers, and I think it's probably dry enough right now. If it stays dry, this will be
that looks dry.
This will be a walk in the park for those who have picked the slick tires. But anyway, lights are going to be coming on now. We're going to wait until there's 4, 5. Oh, And McGorgy gets a good start. He, on the slick tyres, will have to stay on the racing line. Behind him, Sandeep Singh has played it safe and gone for wet. And down into turn 1 they go. McGorgy leads then. Nice, clear start for him. Singh then battling away over P2 with Kurt Rochav. It's all been pretty clean at the front of the field. And Scapelli and Curtis go side by side through the long left-hander at turn 2. Still side by side as they now turn right and onto the short shoot towards the left-right chicane, and it's still side by side as they exit the corner. Chavinsky and Vakuinov side by side as well further back, and it is still damp offline, so it's going to be a brave person who sticks it out offline on those slick tyres. But yeah, it looks bone dry on the line, doesn't it, Alex? This could be a masterpiece from people like Joe Gillette up there in P5 on slicks. Can he hold on? And will the rain stay away? That's the big question, the story from today. And will that enable those slick runners to fire their way through the pack? Leppit is one of them, and is 25th at the moment. James Knox already up to 24th as well, as Vakuinov side by side through the Schumacher S's shovels his way through and drops a position actually to Ben Skinner, who he was side by side with. Skinner looking to aggressively to try and get by the Priority 1 esports train in front of them. But a clean start, and McGorgy leading away. Oh, as behind, I think that was that Vakuinov himself? Yes, it was. Vakuinov going wide, and he will have some recovering to do from there.
And Singh somehow has managed to take the lead as well at the front, and something either happened between him and Magalgi, or Magalgi has lost a significant chunk of time. We've got a first yellow flag at the first of the first lap. David de Vries was one of the cars caught up in it as we could watch the fight here. Johannes Lepitt, another car, but the fight was there between Owen Magalki and Kurt Rochav. Rochav on the inside. Brody Lawless makes it free wide onto the inside, late on the brakes, and Kurt Rochav manages to lose out, but Owen Magalki will be dropping down to P4. What a move by Brody Lawless, and well done to all of the drivers involved there to make it out without incident, but Kurt Rochav not safe and dry yet. Magalgi takes back that third position, and what a move that was, and what a bit of racing that was. But Brody Lawless sets his sights on Sandeep Singh up ahead, and that was a lot of S's.
Yes, but Singh leads the way. I wonder how long for, though, as his light seems to be flashing, which is interesting. That's normally an indicator of the pit lane speed limit being applied. Obviously some sort of glitch on his car as the rear brakes glow bright orange, something that Singh likes to do on the setup of his car. We've seen that before in the Potentia. As Caitlin Penny, oh no, that's one of the slick shod drivers, and she is I think missing a front wing. Yes, unfortunately for her, missing a front wing, so Caitlin will have to box and stick a new front wing on. Might as well take a set of tyres at the same time. It's longer to do that. Sorry, longer to change the wing than it is to change the tyres, and they're done simultaneously anyway. Slick runners report. It's been even Stevens so far, but McGorgy has just set a purple middle sector, so let's see what happens there as Lawless and him are battling through that final sector. Lawless in P2 trying to hold back Magalgi as they come through for another lap, but Joe Gillette has not lost time on those slicks either, and he's now actually lining up. Is that Mateusz Pishkan? This is Mateusz Pishkan in the RGS. So can Gillette use the slicks as the track dries and conditions improve?
Yeah, and he seems to be doing quite a good job on those slicks there. And we cut to Magalgi doing another good job on the slicks, overtaking Brody Lawless. Lawless takes a look down the inside and will hold on to his overlap, and there it goes. But Lawless will have the slipstream. But look, that track, I mean, from some angles, there's barely much water on it at all compared, if you compare the dry line to the wet areas of the track. So the wet runners are probably cooking their tyres currently compared to the dry runners, but it also means for the likes of Owen Magalgi, it will still be very difficult to go offline here, as he's probably about to demonstrate. You can see just how much more speed Lawless was able to carry through that corner. So it's just damp, but it's just tentative conditions, and it's a sort of weird overlap situation where both tyres are equally as performant as one another, and there seems to be no clear advantage as of right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How I wonder if Magalgi is sort of waiting for the conditions to improve, or maybe even trying to. I mean, I know him and Singh are, friends or in the same sort of group together. I wonder if he's sort of helping his. I think he might be braking a bit early and stuff, just generally helping his his mate out there a little bit, because he's driving just 3 seconds off the pace here when it should be improving conditions. Why does Lawless and Roadshark get involved and get into a scrap? And that's not ideal for either of them, as Tina Curtis boxes, which is very interesting. I wonder if they jump the start potentially and serving a drive-through. I couldn't tell you exactly without knowing.
I think they could be pitting for the dry tires. Yeah, it seems to be that way. But you're losing a lot of positions that way. And yeah, I mean, they've come down P27. So I don't think it's advantageous at this point in the race. There's not that much of a point advantage. Not a point advantage, a pace advantage for the dry runners. But this might be demonstrated differently. Here's Juho Sopanen with Sergei Soroka hot on his heels with the dry tires. And there could be a difference in grip at this point, as the rain has been able to stay away from the circuit for now. Of course, one of our forecasts suggests that the rain could be coming back as Sergei Soroka gets past Juho Sopanen. But at this point, wet tires that the wet runners have, even if the rain does come back, might not be good when the rain does.
So here we go. So Soroka there is on slicks and just breezed past. And also the fastest lap of the race from Kanaya last lap round, 51.6, was a second and a half quicker than the leader. So for sure, it's now dry conditions out there. And those who gambled on slicks, this is the time now. Joe Gillette, look, cruising towards the lead of the race. Here we go then, into the final chicane. Oh, there's someone round. Who's that? It is Tuamala for Cap Clay. And unfortunately for them, Magalgi looked fastest lap of the race. So yeah, it's definitely slick tyres now. Everyone's boxing for slicks, which I think is brave, because if I have got my weather forecast right, in 5 minutes it's about to rain again. So yeah, interesting stuff, Alex.
Yeah, this is an interesting strategy call, and I'm interested whether it's going to pay off the drivers that have come into the pit lane. You got Brody Lawless coming out. You got Michael Tuamala, who's gone into the pit lane as well. Kurt Rocha battling with Thijs Jungstra. But the pace advantage now is quite clear. I mean, 2.5 seconds faster for the slicks for Owen Magaki, but he also isn't really able to get past Singh at this point. But this seems like the prime opportunity here for Owen Magaki down the inside into the hairpin, and he just seems unwilling to battle for now as Joe Gillette moves further closer to this battle on those slick tires as well. And it's an interesting situation we've got going on here. Some people are gambling on coming off of the wet tires and onto the slick tires, sort of hoping that rain will not come back. But for Sandeep Singh and for all the drivers still out on wet tires, this gamble might not have paid off at the start here.
Well, surely Magalgi has to go through at some point. He wasn't looking like he was going to make a move at all on Singh for the entirety of the middle sector. Now finally overtakes into the final chicane and will set off down the road, I have no doubt. Joe Gillette, though, very close to the back of Sandeep Singh, much closer than he was last lap. And those lap times are coming down for anyone who has selected the slick tyres at the start of this race. There's 10 laps to go. And by my reckoning, I think the slick tyres right now are, like a second and a half, maybe more, quicker. So it's an easy decision to box and change to them right now if it doesn't rain again.
Yeah, that's for sure. Something we didn't mention, as Sergei Soroka, who was down in P16 fighting, I believe it was Thijs Jungstra for that position when he switched to those dry tyres, now breezing up through these points-paying positions as Bobby Vakanov sets the fastest lap. And, well, like we mentioned, the advantage is definitely clear now between the wet tires and the dry tires. I mean, Homogagi's gone 2 seconds faster, 2.5 seconds faster than Sandeep Singh in the first sector alone. And Joe Gillette will definitely have Singh's podium position and second step off the podium, as now he looks to make a move into the Schumacher S's. Not the greatest of camera positions, but he thinks better of going side by side there, but won't think better of going for a move up the inside here. Seems to be struggling on the slightly wet bit of track that still is there, but Joe Gillette does move up to P2 and will overtake Sandeep Singh. But these top six the 7 drivers from Sandeep Singh to James Knox all seem to be gambling on the fact that the rain might come back, although Sandeep Singh, I would suspect, after losing these 2 positions, won't see much of an issue of coming into the pit lane rain. Hold on, the rain is here and the rain is back, so all the drivers now that switch to dries might be changing their minds.
Well, anyone who stayed out on the wets might be rubbing their hands together. What a crazy race we've got. Yeah, it's coming down quite heavily. Whether it's going to stay, I don't know. Who knows at this point? But this is what I said a few minutes ago. I said the rain could be back, and here it is. So whatever I'm using for my weather forecast seems to be working, so that's cool. Right, well, this opens it all back up again, doesn't it? Because Singh, Pishkan, Koritz, Capelli. In fact, we can show you right now. Yeah, look how many drivers have switched to dry tyres. And the rain comes down. Anyone who stayed out on the wets could be in, you know, the pound seat.
I mean, Toby, how long did your forecast say the rain was going to last as the weather changes?
10 minutes or so. So, you know, almost the rest of the race.
And look at how quickly the track condition is changing. I mean, there was a clear dry line just a couple of laps ago, and there's not so much of it now. I mean, the track looks almost the same color, and the sky is gradually getting darker, which indicates, at least in game, that the rain is progressively getting heavier. The dampness of the circuit is progressively getting more and more. So we did say it could be a gamble to stay out on the wets, but we also know, like I said earlier, that the wets at this point might turn into dries after long enough being out driven in the dry conditions and heating up from not having the sort of water they require to stay in an operable temperature. But here we go. We're watching some of the people that came in to the pit lane to exchange their wet tires for dry tires battling away. Tina Curtis and Bobby Vakanov both trying to gain positions. Andrea Shania seems to be struggling in these newly wet conditions, passed by James Knox on the wet tires. And it seems like those wet tires coming back into their operating window now as we go on board with James Knox, who's got his teammate Kurt Rochov ahead. Rochov half a second behind Scarpelli. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. I can't quite see who it might have been. I believe it was Juho Sopanen who has retired from a fight with Alfie Denley. He becomes the 4th car to retire, the 5th car to retire from this race, correction, as we've lost Junior Lopez, David De Vries as well. And there was 2 more, Mihailo Vicentievich and Charlotte Menink, all out of this race. So some promising drives and some promising drivers who are out on those wet tires now eliminated from the race, which is great news for anyone in the top 15. Much less to worry about, but you know, there's still time in this race, and look at how much heavier the rain was. It's sort of like what we saw in qualifying, Toby.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's lap time wise, it hasn't come back to the wet runners yet. So it's still the slick shod drivers who are setting the best lap times right now. But the question is, does it continue? Does the rain get heavier? Will we start seeing spray from the cars? That would be an indication of whether the track has really got damp. Right now, it's sort of not there yet, I don't think, for anyone on slicks, on wet, sorry. But it's certainly interesting. Yeah, it's more sort of normalizing now. So those who are on slicks and those who are on wets, aside from our race leader, of course, is it's more even. lap time wise than it was just last lap. Joe Gillette crosses the line 51.3. Sandeep Singh is going to come through and cross the line 53.1. So it's still, 1.8 seconds faster right now to be on the slick tyres if you're just comparing those two. But I think it's soon to change.
Yeah, I don't think this is a race you want to look at from lap time. This is a race which is really a matter of time, looking at how the conditions have changed from very dry now to some quite heavy rain. And I think in the next lap or two, that advantage of the dry tyres will definitely be gone as we reach a sort of similar condition as we had around lap 5, where the wets and the dries will make similar time. But Sandeep Singh at the front seems unable to prove that point, that the wet tyres can be just as fast as the dry tyres for now. But I say a lap's time...
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I wonder if the wet tyre runners have burnt their tyres out. I wonder if they've just got no tyres left because they used them on that almost dry, if not dry condition. And almost the rain coming back down is not actually that helping them as much as we would have thought, because they have no tyres left.
Well, that is definitely another factor, but some drivers seem to be, some wet tyre drivers seem to be taking advantage more of the situation than others. For instance, if you look at Casper Kurtz, he's only 1.5 seconds behind his best wet conditioned time, whereas Owen McGaugy now 3.8 seconds behind on his best lap, which was set in the drier conditions. If we compare that to what Joe Gillette's setting, that's a 52.6 for Joe Gillette, as Domenico Scarpelli finds his way off the track and down in P7. But Sandeep Singh actually is unable to set a time similar to that of the dry runners in this condition. So you might be absolutely right, Toby, that the people that stayed out on the wets might just not have the tires left, or might not have cool enough tires to stay out on them and be competitive as the rain has come back down. As this battle here, for the most part, only includes wet runners, but Shania, the dark horse in this battle, the one with the slick tires. And there's Sergei Soroka, another driver who's been fighting up through the positions, fighting past the wet runners, as that dry line seems a bit more pronounced than it was last lap, Toby. So that rain quickly fading away.
Yeah, well, if anything, it shows that the track around where the cars are driving is wetter, if that makes sense. So it's almost like they're still clearing the water away from the dry line, but the rest of the track where they're not driving is wetter. And in fact, you can see now some spray being kicked up when they're offline. So I don't know. I think everyone on slicks is probably going to survive this. There's only 5 laps to go after this, and they're not slow, the slick drivers. So I think the slicks was the choice, but it was a big gamble, wasn't it, that a few drivers took, and obviously everyone who went onto the slicks now also has an advantage. So for example, you've got Brodie Lawless in P14, but he's the fastest driver on track, by a margin.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't seem to have done him much good when he pitted. Of course, he was affected by the collision between himself and Kurt Rochar, but
as the rain stops,
the rain's gone. So
rain's gone.
There goes any hope the wet runners had of getting back at the people who gambled onto the softs. Not the softs, the dries. Why would I say softs? I don't know. Anyway, Kurt Rochar battling away with Casper Kurtz down the inside into turn 1. And there's a tiny bit of contact, but for Casper Kurtz, that almost makes him go around. And Kurt Rochar takes P5, but that might not last past the disciplinary committee's decisions. If that position is not given back, then again, we don't know the facts. We're just watching it from an outside angle. But here's Janaya, the highest placed dry runner, apart from Gillette and McGaugy, battling away in this midfield pack. He has 4 laps to try and clear these wet runners ahead of him. And if he keeps this pace, it looks like he could do so. But he seems to be struggling here. As like you said, off the dry line, it's going to be much harder for those dry users to get past the wet tire users. But on the dry line, it's obviously better for the dry tires.
Yeah, it's as the track gets drier, the whole track will dry, but certainly the dry line will be the one that goes first to the full dry conditions. Look at the extra grip that Kanaya has on those slicks. It didn't last long, did it? It wasn't heavy enough, the rain. It wasn't heavy enough and didn't last long enough for those who stayed out on wets. It's still kind of mixed conditions, but anyone who boxed for new slicks or started the race on slicks has definitely got the decision correct. So yeah, it wasn't going to. We were hoping the race maybe would be one of those balanced ones where maybe the wet-tired drivers would come back towards the end, but it didn't stay. And yeah, it's going to be one of those where as Kanaya lines up James Knox down the inside, he'll be on the wetter part of the track, but there have been moves made down the inside. He's able to make it stick. Kanaya goes through to P7, and he's not the only one. Soroka as well, P9. Is very rapid right now and could easily make some more positions, as the same goes for Brody Lawless, who is in that reverse grid area and still has a couple of laps left to maybe try and get himself up towards the top 10.
Yeah, but Brody does need to be careful of certain positions, as that looked quite close between Kurt Rochov and Matusz Pishkan. Kurt Rochov all over the back of that leading reading game car, looking to get that P4 position. Those extra couple of points could mean quite a bit to Kurt Rochov, one of the highest scoring drivers in the last couple of races, and does get that P4 position rather nicely down the inside into the hairpin there, beating out Pishkan by a matter of meters, but meters matter a lot when you are racing. Pishkan tries to fight back around the outside, but is unable to do so, making himself vulnerable really to Kasper Kuritz and Shania behind, as Brody Lawless has taken Christian Glansetter and David Yunt's positions as Kurt Rochov moves out to the left and Pishkan almost following him onto the grass. But we've got a 6-car battle here for P4 as Pishkan late on the brakes, goes deep, locks up those tires, and will now have to cede a position in the worst position possible. And that's not ideal for Pishkan, trying to lose as little time as possible, ends up getting himself in the way of other drivers. But look at this. Here's Sergei Soroka. Here's another one of the dry runners who's taken Shania's position. Soroka to the outside of James Knox. Kasper Kuritz to the inside of Kurt Rochov, and we're still battling away for this P4 position, but now the dry runners are truly getting involved. Soroka,
James Knox,
I think, has gone round.
Yeah, I think Soroka's lost some time. James Knox from the back of the grid, by the way, all the way up to P7 and fighting away for P6 on wet tyres. So he's done a good job. It's raining again, by the way. Not sure why. Just to throw another spanner in the works, I guess. But there we go. So Soroka side by side with Brody Lawless, who's up to P10. And Lawless on those slick tyres, as I said. Keep an eye on him. He's I mean, in reach of P4 here, which would be a superb drive with a pit stop. There is Kasper Kuritz leading that train now. Kurt Rochov and him very, very close together for a couple of laps now. Wow, as the weather changes immediately and now it's raining. I love our Factor 2 as off the road goes James Knox and through goes, probably goes Kanaya, although they're side by side. No, Kanaya does make that move stick. And then just behind is Lawless and Scarpelli, 9th and 10th place. There's a lot left in this race. There's a whole lap after this, and this is a humongous battle for P4.
Yeah, it's blown completely out of proportion to what it was just a few laps ago. Shania's back on the action in P6, and there is contact. Kasper Kuritz goes onto the grass, outbreaks himself in tricky conditions. Kurt Rochov to the inside, tries to take advantage of that. James Knox has fallen down quite a few positions. Brody Lawless up in P7 on the back of Matusz Pishkan into the first corner. Takes the outside line, but is unable to compete with the two-car slipstream that Pishkan will have. Kurt Rochov to the inside. Brody Lawless is right into the back of him. And while he will have, for now, that P5 position, it might not last that long as Brody Lawless does get past Kurt Rochov. But here comes now Kasper Kuritz and Rochov on the inside. Kuritz later on the brakes than Rochov. Oh, Brody Lawless was in too deep and now falls to Kasper Kuritz. This battle still has 2 more laps to go and there's still 6 cars involved.
Look, this is going to be 3 wide almost, and Lawless is P5 fighting away for that P4. I think the rain's... Or if anything, the sun's come out. The rain is continuing as they're side by side. There's contact. They're round. Kanaya's round. I think that's Pishkan. It is. They're both round. They've got to rejoin safely, but they're in the middle of the pack now. And those points, they've gone. Especially for Kanaya. He's going to struggle to score. He's trying to get back on the track and he can't. And Kanaya's going to be out.
At this rate, yeah, he's going, and he has stopped. And that's a race over. He does DNF. He'll be starting from the back next race, and that's not really where you want to start. 1 car, 2 cars eliminated from this battle for P4, but it still goes on with Kurt Rochov, Brody Lawless, and Kasper Kuritz, and it has been reignited. There's contact on the back straight. Brody Lawless was onto the gravel on the exit of the Schumacher S's, or not the Schumacher S's, but the chicane after it.
Off he goes!
As Rochov goes deep, and we've seen this maybe 3 or 4 times before. 1 car gets past and then goes deep into that final chicane. No one knows what's going to happen as we move onto the final lap. Some exhilarating racing going on here.
Literally, I don't want this race to end right now, but there is 1 final lap to go. We know who's going to win the race. I think we know who's going to be P2. I think we know who's going to be P3. But it's going to be a battle for the 4th position here. And Kuritz leads that train for now. But Brody Lawless on those slick tyres, as I think the rain stopped again, is hunting him down. And nobody's on the right tyres. Nobody's on like good tyres for these conditions right now. The wet tyres, surely they've run out of tread by now. Anyone on the slicks who didn't box, they've probably got no tyres either at this point. So yeah, it's all about who's looked after them the best and who can take that 4th place. It's currently Kuritz ahead of Lawless. We're looking at P12 as Magorgi comes through the final couple of corners. An easy win for Owen as he comes around the final corner. Joe Gillette and side by side with Sandeep Singh, by the way, in the background I saw. So Gillette and Singh. In fact, it's Gillette who's going to hold on from Singh in P2. And he is coming through. He chose the slicks. Where is Sandeep Singh gone?
There was no battle, Toby. You're imagining things.
Oh, my days. That's the interval. I'm so sorry.
This is a side-by-side battle, though. Brody Lawless takes P4 from Kasper Kuritz as we navigate. There's 3 more corners left for this battle to still go on. James Knox in the slipstream of Kasper Kuritz. Kasper Kuritz in the slipstream of Brody Lawless. This chicane's been difficult on previous occasions. And Kasper Kuritz takes a defensive inside line, tries to get past Brody Lawless. Brody Lawless not as fast as Kuritz was hoping to be. James Knox getting stuck in the troublesome wake of Kasper Kuritz and will now try to get a better exit to the line. And it seems like this is going to be the way it's going to be. Over the line, Brody Lawless takes P4 after exhilarating battle. Kasper Kuritz 5th, James Knox 6th. Just wow, Kurt Rochov. He was 4th at one point. I think all of these drivers were 4th at one point. That should tell you just what a battle we just witnessed.
What a race that was. Apart from me misreading interval for overall on the final lap. Apologies, everyone. What a race that was. I mean, none of us knew what was going to happen in that one, I don't think. Yeah, points paying positions down to 15th. Of course, the reverse grid is anywhere from P10 to P15 as well. So Scapelli is definitely going to get involved in that. Vakuinov, Yunt, Glamsetter, Curtis, and Travinsky, any of those could be sitting on pole for race 2. It's a little bit upsy downsy. James Knox from the back of the grid, but Owen Magorgi wins. Joe Gillette P2 on those slick tyres. Sandeep Singh hanging on for P3. Brody Lawless 4th place. What a drive from him with a pit stop. Kasper Kuritz 5th. James Knox, Kurt Rochov, the Excelions giving us some action. James Knox from the back of the field. What a drive for him as well. Sergei Soroka, 8th place. Victor Bernat, 9th. And Scarpelli rounding out the top 10. Bobby Varkunov, 11th in the end. David Yunt, 12th. Glamsetter, 13th. Tina Curtis, 14th. Philip Javinsky in 15th place. Thijs Youngström misses out. Ben Skinner, Spilo, Pishkan as well missing out. And Van der Schmissen in the top 20. Mikhail Tumala, James Andrews, Caroline Harvig, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, with Caitlin Penny 24th. Johannes Leppit in 25th place, with 26th going to Andrea Kanaya. Alfie Denley, Juho Sopanen, Vicentievich and Menink DNFs. So too were Junior Lopez, who we didn't really see, and David the Free as well. Time for Anne's small break. We will be back once the server is back online, and we'll get to the thoughts of Alex after that. Be back now, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the world's smallest map of Nurburgring. Reverse grid, Alex, is...
It's P15! What a surprise! It's not P11. It has been 2 full seasons, 32 races, 64 races, I should say, 32 rounds, and we have not had a single P11 reverse grid.
Oh, my days. The little spreadsheet that Alex has going on for this is incredible stuff. It's been 6 P10 reverse grids, 7 P12 reverse grids, 6 P13 reverse grids, 5 P14 reverse grids, 6 P15 reverse grids, and 0 on P11. Good. Well, 15th place.
It cannot be fair. It just can't be. I swear, Chris genuinely goes through until he gets a number that isn't P11.
He must be trolling us at this point, yeah. It must be. I mean, there's just as much chance every week that it's going to be one of those 6 numbers. It's like rolling a dice, though. I mean, how many times has he rolled that dice? He's rolled it, what, 30 odd times? 32 times, and never hit a 6, basically, is what we're saying. He's still stuck in jail at this point on the Monopoly game.
Yeah. Oh, he's rolled the number twice, plenty of times. I mean, we've had a 10 next to each other. Yeah, we've had the same number plenty of times. We've just not had the same one. We've just not had P11.
It brings me such joy. I have such a nice time commentating on Formula Sprint 2. I was so looking forward to this tonight. I've had a really nice time. It's been great.
Yep.
We've got another full race to do. But it's been fantastic. Probably the best round of the season, you know. Chris, but nope, only ever roll once. That's a hard rule for me.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
No fair, no, Chris. I mean, he puts so much time and effort into this league, literally more than anyone else. And yourself, with the new car model notwithstanding, Chris puts so much time and effort into this and making it fun for everyone to enjoy. So, thank you, Chris. Give us a P11. Can we have the ticker, by the way, for warm up? We've only got a minute left. Might as well enjoy it for a minute. Thanks, Fabian. It's so bad. My favourite bit is how it only shows 4 drivers and you can't do anything. And when you change off it and go back to it, it goes back to number 1 again. Anyway, it is now definitely dry out on track. So there is no rain. There's no rain on the forecast either. So I think this will be a normal slick tyre race, to be fair. He says. Watch there be a rain shower 3 laps in. Should be fun, though. I'm going to look forward to watching those who competed at the front in race 1. It being a 15-place reverse grid, trying to fight their way through the pack. Be nice to see what Owen McGowgie can do from P15, for example. Looking forward to that.
Well, ignoring the reverse grid, race 2, the past couple of races, we haven't had the cleanest of races, have we, Toby? So this should be nice and interesting. We've had a good bit of racing in race 1, and now we look forward to some... what's a nice way to describe it? Some spirited driving. That's how I'll put it.
Some spice. Give me some spice in race 2.
Exactly.
Just a little bit of flair. See what happens as Menink is side by side with an ST. Not sure which one. Yes, going to be fun, isn't it? To see what happens. And it's bone dry, by the way. Literally, I can't see any wet at all.
Yeah, that. Apart from that little bit of Is that even wet weather?
Shadow, bro, isn't it?
The shadow of the
It's a shadow, isn't it?
shadow.
Oh, no,
that's
I
wet.
take it
That's
fully
wet.
back, sir. My very greatest of apologies to you. That was damp. I thought it was shadow. But,
It's been a lot of things you've not realised the shadow.
hey, not a lot. Your grid in race 1 wasn't the best. You're on the first page, you said P4 was P3, bro.
Okay, but should we talk about yesterday as we were looking at the release model? You were like, there's a line. There's a line on the livery.
Yesterday
shadow
doesn't
of
count.
The rear wheel.
Yeah, it was the shadow of the rear wheel. Yes, you're right. All right. Look, you know. It's Blender things. What do you want from me?
I'm just asserting you don't have the greatest track record when it comes to shadows.
Don't assert those sorts of things. I'll get spooked by one in a minute. Chris,
Turn around and see your own.
But statistically, that exact sequence of numbers is as likely as any other. Whilst correct, that's a very constrictive view of looking at how statistics work. Why have you just gone,
Because the Mapes Vocars were vibrating inside. That's...
No. It will stop right there in that sentence, my friend.
Oh no.
Oh no.
They were performing mitosis is what it looked like. It's a real shame clipping is enabled for this. Anyway, formation lap, Toby. It's your turn.
Oh no, we've got the ticker still. Fabian! Okay, Philip Travinsky starts on pole with Tina Curtis in P2. P3 goes to Christian Glamsetter, and P4, David Yunt. I can count to 4, Alex. P5, Bobby Vakuanov with Domenico Scapelli. In P6, Victor Banat. P7, and Sergei Soroka in 8th place. Row 5, Kurt Rotjav and James Knox, the Excelion duo, with Kasper Koritz and Brody Lawless behind them. 11th and 12th place. 13th, our championship leader, Sandeep Singh, with Joe Gillette 14th on the grid. Owen McGorgy in 15th place with Thijs Youngstra in 16th position. P17 goes to Ben Skinner with Krista Spilo behind him in 18th. Mateusz Pishkan 19th and Justin van der Smissen in P20. 21st is Mikhail Tuamala and James Andrews P22 with Caroline Harbig and Caitlin Penny 23rd and 24th respectively. 25th on the grid is Johannes Lepit with Andrea Kanaya alongside in 26th place Alfie Denley and Juho Sopanen 27th and 28th. E29 Mihailo Vicentijevic and Charlotte Menink 29th and 30th with David DeFree in 31st. We are missing a driver, I don't know which one.
Who are we missing? Do we have
you
Venus?
can play that game. Yes.
We have the Venus. Do we have the academies? Yes. The reading games. Do we have the reading games? Yes.
This is going to be quite dull if you read them out loud. Can you do inside thinking?
No, I can't. Because trying to read the teams off RaceView is absolutely abysmal.
Everyone is on slicks. Thank you for that lovely view, Fabian.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Junio Lopez isn't there.
Oh no.
And I definitely... Oh wow. Chris Williamson beat me to it by a minute.
He's helpful. Oh, this is going to be fun. I get to read the lights out in German and it have relevance this time. That's my...
We didn't hear it. We didn't hear it the first time.
No, well... I was saying something else, I think, which is usual for me.
Surprise, surprise.
Right, all the drivers are on the grid. We're waiting for the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go! Oh, Trubinski's got a really slow start. Curtis and Glamsetter are going to do them off the line. Glamsetter trying to go down the middle. Curtis is going to lead into turn 1. And down the inside, David Yunt as well, the old hand, trying to make his way through. Side by side there, 3 wide as they head into turn 2, but Curtis gets the best launch and gets away well. Victor Banat we're looking at in P7. It's still priority ones side by side with one another. Glamsetter trying to get involved with Fakuinov actually has made a position up as I think that is further back actually. We've got Johannes Leppert here battling away. A couple of cars off, but no one seems to have had any major... I say that, and there's crash in the background as Vicentievich looks like he is devoid of a wheel, and Charlotte Menink devoid of a front wing, and yes, Vicentievich, I should say, is out. Glamsetter, though, P5, we're back towards the front of the field, and Curtis leads away then. What a start.
Yes, well, we made it 5 corners in race 2 without incident. That's going to be a record for one of our race 2s. We head through the Schumacher S's for the first time in this race, and for the first time with decently dry conditions. Currently watching what was the battle for P4 in race 1, now involving Brody Lawless, James Knox, Casper Kuritz, and Owen McGaugy. In this battle for race 2, McGaugy has a decent start already. He's up to P11, starting P15, and as we cut ahead to Brody Lawless attacking Victor Banat, and does get past, and will set his sights on Scarpelli ahead, as McGaugy has fallen down a few positions after trying to attack Casper Kuritz, and in fact falls down to P14, currently battling with Krista's Velo, and that is a battle to watch. It could be quite interesting as we watch Kurt Rochav and Sandeep Singh going down the inside of Casper Kuritz. Someone goes, oh, that's Krista's Velo, went straight into the back of Pishkan and subsequently into the side of Owen McGaugy, and will drive off the track, presumably to retire that car. Toby? I guess you're not here. Anyway.
Sorry, my bad. I think Pishkan was down the inside of Svilo, and I think Svilo sort of went into McGaugy as a result of that. So, but yeah, time loss for both. McGaugy then down to 14th, and he has some work to do from there. But yeah, it's I'd like to see that one again if we can, but not right now. Maybe in a lap or two when things have calmed down a little bit. Let's see. As Brody Lawless already up to P7.
Yeah, Lawless seems to be the one that started from a relatively high reverse grid position, is the one that's had the best pace so far, and I think I just saw a tiny little drop of rain on the screen.
You've seen things.
Well, you saw a battle between Sandeep Singh and Joe Gillette, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, Brody Lawless moves himself up to 6th position.
Good. I'll remember that one. I'll keep that. You got to keep something in the back pocket, haven't you, Alex? You do it every time. Oh no! What's going on there? Why is Kurt Rochav in the pit lane? And why is Casper Kuritz put in there? That I want to see that again. For shorties, I want to see that again. As now we're going to go 3 wide down the start-finish straight towards turn 1. And some wheel banging going on here as well, as Kuritz is in the middle of that group, and Pishkan on the in the back of it initially. There's some rubbings racing, but not this much, ladies and gentlemen. Can we try and keep that one a little bit down? But yeah, I want to know what happened at that final corner. It looked like, for whatever reason, both of them were just not on the track.
One of them was being pushed into the pit lane, that's for sure. Yeah, that was one of the more interesting accidents we've seen.
I know. Neither of them attempting the final corner on the proper line.
Skinner, Sergei Soroka, both out, both have retired. And here's the replay of what happened to Krista's Velo. And
yeah, so Pishkan,
as you said, Pishkan down the inside. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Didn't have my push to talk on for some reason. Well, I know the reason. I was an idiot. Okay, so this is what happened then. Okay, so bouncing over the curb goes Koretz. Rochav down the inside, and Koretz is just... Okie doke.
Okay.
Yep.
That's one of the moves of all time as we got to Brody Lawless attacking Christian Glansetter. Not much of a defense put up by the Orbit Motorsports driver in that nice mint livery as Lawless moves himself up to P5, setting his sights on Bobby Vakanov, David Yunt, and Philip Savinsky as well. Tina Curtis doesn't have that much of an advantage. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, and I can't tell you who that was for.
Tell you what, Brody Lawless looks like he's driving a different category of car when the last couple of rounds. He's been flying as Rochav is recovering and passes Tice Youngstra for P15. That would be a point should he finish there. But Lawless looks unstoppable.
Yeah, Lawless has got quite a bit of pace this time around. I mean, compared to the drivers he was around in race 1, he's not really near any of them. They're down in P11, P12, P13. So Lawless just has the pace and seems to have adapted the most to these dry conditions. So that's worked out quite well. The yellow flag was for Justin van der Smissen, who has retired, becoming the 5th retiree of this race. We now have only 26 drivers competing as we cut to Joe Gillette on the back of Matusz Pishkan, who of course had that contact with Migaugi, or did he? I can't remember what happened now. No, he just got passed by Migaugi. Never mind.
Yeah,
Ignore me.
yeah.
He did have contact though. It just
well,
wasn't the cause of his
yeah, exactly. Yellow flags abound this race. There's been a few of them. Alfie Denley, that was scary, is out. I was going to say, we were just watching Joe Gillette. Alfie Denley is out. Joe Gillette then, P2 in race 1, unable to make progress, particularly in race 2. Started P14, still there as someone runs wide. And yeah, he's not exactly motored his way through the field, is he? In fact, you can literally see horizontal line, no numbers next to his name. Hasn't moved, but Lawless up up 8 positions now as he moves into P4 past Bobby Vakunov.
Yeah, he's having a great little race. So is David De Vries, by the way, in P18. He, of course, did retire in race 1 and started last, now moved himself up to P18 and looks to be in reach of the points position. So we had a quick yellow flag there. Doesn't mean much as Kurt Rochav attacks Joe Gillette, who, like you said, seems to be struggling in this race. Kurt Rochav trying to get that position back from Joe Gillette because he has fallen down quite a bit from where he started. Of course, he will have started, I think, about P9. So for Excelli in this second race, not looking as good as it did the first time around. As we cut to the battle for the lead, Tina Curtis under pressure from Philip Savinsky, and the 2 priority ones are looking at a great little position here, but there's Brody Lawless in the background pursuing them from a distance, and soon to be not that much distance at all as he's trying to get involved into this battle. Philip Savinsky tries to get the slipstream of Tina Curtis in the Blue Horns ahead into the final chicane and closes right up to the fuser of Curtis's car. Just a few more corners and there'll be a nice long straight and a prime overtaking opportunity here for the priority 1 on the Blue Horns racing car.
Look how tight this is. P1, 2, 3, and 4, all within a second, actually, as Brody Lawless then lining up and taking David Yunt down into turn 1. It could be Lawless's race to lose, as down the inside then goes Chavinsky for the first time, making a move on the lead of the race. Gets it! Down the inside on Tina Curtis and moves up to the first position. And holds on round the outside. What a move from Chavinsky. But Brody Lawless then swarming all over the back. Can he move up to P2? And he can straight away. So Brody Lawless now side by side with Curtis as they exit the corner and down towards the left-right chicane. Lawless then looking like the most likely for the race victory here, Alex.
Well, anything could happen at this point. I mean, he is catching up to Philip Savinsky rather rapidly and does have a nice gap to Tina Curtis behind, but he's got himself in quite a precarious position here. He's in somewhat of a sandwich between a large amount of drivers. Of course, well, he's got one driver ahead of him, but look at how many drivers he's got behind of him. Look at how many positions. That's a potential loss if he makes one bad move in either pursuing or trying to get that first position. So he's being followed rather metaphorically by a pack of wolves as Bobby Vakinov sticks his nose out, tries to fill the mirrors of David Yunt, but on a rather experienced driver, it probably wouldn't have that much of an impact, but clearly it has. David Yunt falling to the pressure of Bobby Vakinov behind, running wide onto the gravel and loses his P5 position as we watch further ahead. Brody Lawless hasn't made that much room between himself and Tina Curtis to try and make a shot at the lead, but along the main straight here with the slipstream, Savinsky realizes that he will need to go straight to the inside here to try and defend from Brody Lawless, as there was a brief yellow flag in Sector 3, but Lawless later on the brakes to the inside, but just not late enough to try and get that overlap on Philip Savinsky, as David Yunt almost went into the side of Bobby Vakinov there, and for now, this top six hasn't changed.
For now, but there's plenty of laps left, and it can change, can't it, Alex?
If that's all you want to say, that's all you will say, Toby, as we watch James Knox going for an attack on Christian Blabstetter. No, you said the one-liner, and you're not allowed to talk. You can go back to talking in the YouTube chat if you really, really want to, Toby.
I'll tell you what I have noticed, by the way. David Yunt, by the way, has come back, and obviously the reverse grid's helped him. One of the most experienced drivers in GPVWC doesn't have the experience in FS2 to hold the pace, unfortunately for him. And Brody Lawless, though, definitely does. And for Mapespo, since changing to Mapespo, has absolutely been the fastest, or one of the fastest drivers since that switch. It's really helped in that team change from RGS. And now, on the back of the priority one of Chavinsky, can he take race 2 victory, Alex?
Well, it's possible.
It's possible. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Alex. Sandeep Singh is P8 as well, by the way, so has made up positions for his championship challenge, and the Percenci is 8th and 9th, respectively. Koritz is holding off Magorgi in P12, and our race 1 winner. Magorgi is not actually been progressing as Lawless throws it down the inside. He's got the overlap. Can he make the move stick? A little bit of contact on the apex. Oh, he's just given him enough room. It was fight. It was a fight, but it was fair. And through goes Lawless past Chavinsky, takes the position. And I think Lawless will now shoot off into the distance as we go past the halfway point of the race. Like to see that again, just to make sure it was a definite clean move. It was on the border, wasn't it? It was on the edge.
Being completely honest, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the YouTube chat, so I didn't see the move, but I'm sure. I was reading it, I wasn't typing in it, but it was probably a great move, which we can see a replay of, because nothing seems to be happening in terms of overtakes or attacking, but maybe we don't have it.
I mean, can we have a replay of the overtake so that Alex can watch the race he's supposed to be commentating on, please? Oh, here we go. So this is the move, the move of the race for the race lead. Here you go, Alex.
Okay, so there's oh my God, Brody Lawless to the inside of Philip Savinsky. There's a little bit of contact, but I don't see much wrong with that overtake. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That was a good little move, and now Lawless just has to make a big gap, but he seems to be struggling. Well, according to RaceView, he was struggling. Apparently not according to the timing tower. Almost a second already between himself and Philip Savinsky before the end of the lap. Not Philip Savinsky.
Oh no, don't do that, because he'll get into your head and then you'll say it wrong the next time. I've been really trying, and Tina Curtis has done such a good job, by the way, but I've been really trying not to say Tina Turner the entire race. It's been in the back of my head every time I see that name. So Tina doing a great job in P3. I'm so frightened, but well done for that one. And Babi Vakuinov as well doing a good job holding on to that P4.
Babi Vakuinov, good enough, honestly. There's not much going on, which is rare for race 2. I say that.
Line, aren't they?
There's been
what's happened here? So
David
Yunt's dropped back. I think he ran wide, actually. I think that's what's happened there. Singh and Glamsetter through then.
David Yunt seems to be gravitating towards the gravel traps. Now, both of those sort of styles of chicane, he's gone a bit wide. And, there's remnants of a car there. They must have been older. Haven't noticed them before, though. Maybe. Sandeep Singh, by the way, has raised from P8. He's managed to get up to P6. He's found pace in the latter half of this race here as Domenico Scarpelli comes under pressure from Victor Bernat in the Scuderia Freccia Nera and into the final chicane. Could have been a move there, but I think it's wise not to go side by side into the thinnest bit of the track here. And probably one of the most single-lined parts of the track. But Victor Bernat, look at how close he is, and look at how much slipstream he'll now get along this straight. Less than a tenth between them, and Bernat will probably move to the inside here. Domenico Scarpelli tries to cover it, but it's too late to make that kind of move as Victor Bernat nicely on the brakes and is able to get that P9 position. Very, very similar to how Brody Lawless got past Philip Savinsky just a lap ago. And speaking of Brody Lawless, he's managed to create a 1.5 second gap between himself and Philip Savinsky. So at this point, it's his to lose. Quite a bit of impressive pace here from Brody this time around. And that gap certainly showing on track as well. Not really having to worry about his mirrors as much as he was going to in previous laps. But when you consider he will have started P11, he's had a nice little race to put himself into a race-winning position, Toby.
Yes, he's obviously had the pace and made most of those overtaking moves, I mean, completely without contact, and, you know, picked his fights when they were there to be fought, and has driven very well. And to be honest with you, considering he had to miss some races due to he was banned effectively, he's come back and been a different person on track at least. So Lawless has done a superb job over the last few rounds, and he's done very well again here. So well done to Brody. He's maximised the round as best as he could, and that drive in race 1 with a pit stop, I mean, you know, where did that come from? Fantastic stuff. So yeah, we can only say what we see, and Lawless 2 seconds to the good already, and there's still 5 laps to go. So great drive from Brody.
Yeah, I mean, it's 33 points for Brody Lawless, which sort of shoots him closer to a potential championship challenge here. Of course, he, like you said, was banned, missed 3 races, and since then he's put in the work and he's had consistently great results. And another one is on his platter here at the Nurburgring as we watch Bobby Vakanov now slightly under pressure from Christian Glamsetter. But speaking of drivers who haven't been able to make much movement in this race, it's Owen Magaugi still down in P12 as he just now gets past Kasper Kuritz and still has 3 seconds to make up to Scarpelli as we watch Sandeep Singh down the inside of Christian Glamsetter. Glamsetter on the outside line just had a slightly better corner than did Sandeep Singh now as Singh. Oh no! That is not good for Glamsetter.
Drove straight into the back of him and spun him round, and Glamsetter drops 3 positions as a result. Oh dear. Not ideal. It was just literally just driving in a straight line, and he completely misjudged it, Singh. drove straight into the back of him and span him off into the grass. Good save by Christian Glanstetter, though, to keep it out of the wall. We have to say that, but wow. Very high speed there, pretty much one of the highest speeds on the track. Well done to Glanstetter for keeping it pointing the right way.
As we cut to the car ahead of Glanstetter, James Knox, who's in a nice position to mount an attack on David Junt here, who's had a rather troubled race from P3. Here comes James Knox down the inside and relegates David Junt to P7 for now and increases his position into 6th behind Sandeep Singh, who as well is struggling to make positions here, but does have podium potential here if he can navigate past Bobby Vakanov and Tina Curtis. So there's a lot to play for in this race here, and you have to say at the front the pace has been very, very close, even with the drivers that have been put there with the reverse grid. So this is probably one of the least eventful, more competitive race 2s we've had in a while, Toby.
Absolutely. There's only 3 drivers in the 46s. Brody Lawless and Chavinsky have done 46s. The other one's James Knox. So as you were saying, potentially James Knox could be one to look out for. Singh trying to make his way past Vakuanov here, Bobby Vakuanov, and unable to get through right there. But the overtaking opportunity is kind of down into the final chicane at this track. It's one of the 2 possible overtaking places, down here and at turn 1. Although he's not close enough this time around. Singh side by side further back. I think that was Glamsetter and Bernat. Oh, sorry. So it was Glamsetter and Junt, actually. Glamsetter back past Junt and up to P7. David will be a little bit disappointed that he hasn't had the pace to fight at the front of the field in this one, considering he started right up there. But Vakuanov holding off Singh for now.
Yeah, and is now mounting an attack onto Tina Curtis into turn 1. There's a yellow in sector 2, and Vakanov was quite late onto the brakes, getting close to the diffuser of that Blue Horns car, but not close enough to warrant an attack yet, as Vakanov gets a terrible exit. Here comes Sandeep Singh down the inside into turn 3, and Singh puts himself up into P4, and that is monumental in terms of just how a small mistake can cost you quite a bit, as now Bobby Vakanov down in P5 and has to work his way back up to try and get that podium position that he was just a few tenths away from taking just a few corners ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a small error, as you say, and he lost all that time, and like candy from a baby, wasn't it, for Sandeep Singh taking that away. And Singh now lining up Tina Curtis then for P3, a random tyre just sitting there in the middle of the Schumacher S's as we go through. And we're in the latter parts of the race now. Only 3 laps, including this one, to go, so 2 after this. And I think we know who's going to win. I think we know who's going to be P2, but it's the fight for the podium's definitely still on. Isn't it, Alex? I think we may have briefly lost Alex as we go into the final couple of corners here on lap 13. And it is Tina Curtis still hanging on to P3. And it's Sandeep Singh trying to get past to take that podium place away, if possible, as we go only into the final couple of laps here. Can Singh take another podium position? As further back, side by side, Bobby Vakuanov. And that is James Knox moving up into P5. So great stuff from James Knox. And through he goes and into that fifth place. But fighting back is Vakuanov here and trying to make it stick as they go into the final couple of laps here then. And can James Knox take that position away from Bobby Vakuanov once again, as Glamsetter behind them, P7, will be disappointed to have been spun round and lost a couple of positions. We'll see whether he can recover back past these cars. He only has a short amount of time to do so. It's possible that he won't be able to get through, but a penalty hanging over Sandeep Singh, it's saying in the YouTube chat of Red Hunter, and he's absolutely right. Can Singh hold on to that P3 position after all of the penalties have been applied? It's anyone's guess at this point.
Well, if Sandeep Singh does get the penalty, and it seems incredibly likely for just driving straight into the back of Christian Glamsetter there, this is Tina Curtis' podium to lose, of course. A nice gap between themselves and Bobby Vakanov down in P5. So, well, this is realistically Tina's to lose. As that Sandeep Singh penalty is pretty much a guarantee as we watch Christian Glamsetter, the man affected by the contact with Sandeep Singh now, battling away with Victor Bernat under pressure from Victor Bernat, but also now trying to attack David Yunt. But it seems like the attack from Bernat will come sooner than Glamsetter can catch up to David Yunt. Bernat insistent on keeping that inside line and not later on the brakes, decides to relegate himself to P9 for now, an attack at a different time. But here's James Knox. There's a bit of contact between himself and the Hut Performance car, and that was nicely held, but a bit of contact is not ideal for the Excellion Motorsports car as he tries continuously to attack for that P5 position, and David Yunt behind seems to be in a nice pocket of space now, as Bernat seems to have helped fend off any attack that would have come from Glamsetter behind, as we continue to watch this pack, not as closely woven as, or woven I should say, as they were on the last lap in the last race. But there's still plenty of battling to go on as we reach the last couple of corner complexes. Of course, we've got the Schumacher S's, and then one more chicane, or two more chicanes between us. So anything could still happen. We're watching James Knox currently, but Christian Glamsetter 2 tenths off the back of David Yunt, and I would imagine that's going to be the battle you want to watch as we get the slipstream now down towards that final chicane. For Brody Lawless, this win looks surefire. But for all the other positions behind him, apart from Philip Savinsky in P2, it could go anyway up until this point. But here's Brody Lawless then, crossing the line to win here at race 2 at the Nurburgring, getting his second win of the season. Philip Savinsky, by the way, getting a P2 as we watch Bobby Vakanov cross the line behind James Knox in 6th. David Yunt able to hold on to his P7 just ahead of Christian Glamsetter, and just as accelerating as race 1, but with all the more incidents, Toby.
But it's honestly, I've enjoyed myself today more than any other round this season. It's been great stuff. Generally, what a battle we had in race 1. This today has just been battles all over the park, and you wouldn't expect that from Nurburgring. It's not exactly an easy track to overtake on. Just shows the entertainment that FS2 can provide, and it's been good stuff. It's been generally pretty good. The standards have been good. I've enjoyed myself, honestly. I really have.
Yeah.
What a race.
It has been one of the best, if not the best event of the season we've had so far. A topsy-turvy race 1, followed by, well, a sort of heroic story by Brody Lawless in race 2 to get that P1 position, to get that win. Well fought by just about everyone to get the positions they've had. And hopefully, as Joe Gillette hopefully realizes he needs to go around the first corner without crashing, we'll go through the results as Brody Lawless takes the win in race 2 of Philip Savinsky and Sandeep Singh joining him on the podium. Tina Curtis P4 provisionally with James Knox behind them. Bobby Vakanov 6th, David Yunt 7th with Christian Glamsetter, Victor Bernat and Domenico Scapelli lining out the top 10. 11th then is Owen McGaughey, unable to carve his way through the field as we were expecting. And behind him is the 2 reading games of Kasper Kurit and Matusz Pishkan. 14th is Thijs Jungstra, and the last point scorer, 15th, Kurt Rochov. Andreas Shania is 16th with David de Vries 17th, Mikael Tuomala 18th, James Andrews 19th, and Juho Sopanen 20th. 21st then is Caroline Harvig with Hans Lepit behind them in 22nd. Joe Gillette, 23rd, with Caitlin Penny, the last finishing car, in 24th. And then with all of our non-finishers, Charlotte Menink, Alfie Denley, Justin van der Smissen, Ben Skinner, Sergei Soroka, Christos Filo, and Mihailo Vicentievich. And of course, with Junio Lopez not starting the race for Cap Clay, which is disappointing, really. But he has had the last disappointing, or a couple of disappointing rounds recently.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, and I've got to be, we're going to make sure I'm prefacing this with, we don't know what's happening with everyone's personal life, and I've learned that this week, of course, as well. It's, however, disappointing that a championship contender has a problem or something happens in race 1 and then doesn't tip up for race 2. It's not the right attitude from my point of view, to be fair. So, but I don't know the full picture there. That's just what I see from here. But yeah, it would have been nice for Junio Lopez to have come in and compete in race 2. Right, interview time for Shawsies. We need to speak to race 1 winner. I had a message pop up then. Anyway, Owen, congratulations on race 1. Very dominant performance and interesting choice of tyre on the slicks rather than the wets. Obviously, it was nice and dry for the start of the race.
Yeah, I went on dries because I thought it'd be funny, to be honest. And I knew that it was going to be dry, and I knew that it would start raining. So why not go on the slicks? It's going to be a bit of fun. I knew Sandy was going on the wets. He didn't think it was a good idea, but he still chose it because he's, a bit stupid. So I had to. Well, I took it into my own hands and tried holding up whoever it was behind me, Brody, and I thought it was his teammate, but it wasn't. They've got the same looking livery. I got very confused. But yeah, I can't really remember much else of race 1. Just looking at the gap, finding it quite funny. The people box so early.
Yeah, I mean, they all came off the wet tires, and it's such a short race. It's always going to cost them time. Yeah, I mean, I kind of said it in the commentary. It was one of those where it looked like you were sort of waiting your time for the slicks to come in, maybe to overtake Sandy. Potentially, you weren't attacking him. I know you guys, obviously you're in the same sort of group together, so maybe you give him an easier time than others behind you. Is that something that was in your mind, or is it just a case of running your own race?
I mean, like I said, that was definitely something in my mind. It's not that we're part of the same group; it's that we're friends. I drove for ST because Menno asked me if I wanted to drive, and Mark allowed it. To fill in an extra spot because I guess there was no one else who wanted, which is quite a surprise considering all the chat about the, all of the lower level drivers not getting seats.
That ship sailed. I mean, for one, I think if the league allows it, and we've had that conversation, then it's fine. I had a great time watching you race, and obviously in race 2 you picked up some damage. In race 2, was unable to come through maybe like you would have liked to, especially like you did at USA. Is that what happened, or? Yeah,
I got damage, but once I got straight lined into turn 1, I thought, if the car's slower, then I'm just going to hold up the reading games because I think they're in a championship fight with Potentia. I'm not too sure. I just wanted to have some fun because I definitely did not have the pace to win that second race with the damage.
No, fair enough. I think it was Pishkan down the inside with Kasper Koritz. I think that was the situation there that caused the damage. But congratulations on race 1. Obviously, I think many would have predicted that, but nevertheless, it was a hard-fought one. So congratulations. Hope to see you back. It's been fun watching you.
Yes, shout out to Tom Ely, my goat.
I don't know. I assume he helped him with setups. Right, who else have we got? Let's bring in Chavinsky. Philip, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Excellent stuff. Obviously a podium, which is nice to see. I know the reverse grid has helped you out there, but nevertheless, that must be a good feeling.
Yeah, it was the race 1 was meh. I could have done definitely better, but race 2 I did my best, and yeah, I definitely couldn't stay with Brody there. So a P2 is good for me.
Is it your first podium? It is your
Yep.
first podium in FS2, FS1. You did have
Yes.
podiums in Academy, but that's your first one. So
I did win in Academy this year on round 1 from what
it doesn't
I won.
show. Well,
Yeah,
well done.
it doesn't show for some reason, but yeah, great stuff. I mean, this is I mean, Academy's obviously a series in the GPVWC, but this is where the championships are. This is where things start to get serious, and of course, as I say, of course, you're helped out by the reverse grid, but you have to actually do something with that, and you did a great job.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was. I did, as I said, I did what I could, and yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you, Philip. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
One more, Alex. Shall we speak to Tina?
Yes, absolutely.
Tina, congratulations. Great stuff. Overall, great pace, and obviously a great result in race 2.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting a result in race 2. I know I was standing second and all, so I definitely had the upper hand in that, but holding on to first for like 5 laps, I think, that was honestly amazing, honestly. I'm surprised I held on for that long until the tyres just didn't anymore.
Good stuff. And how do you find FS2? I think, obviously coming in for this round, how did you find generally the racing and so on?
I found it definitely a lot better than Academy, I will say that. The car was definitely a lot more easier to drive, at least in my opinion. And I was able to just like understand what the car was doing, as in when it would oversteer, when it would understeer. And I think because of the way I set the car up, I think the setup definitely helped in me getting a good result, in all honesty.
Absolutely. You've done a few rounds for the Academy team last season. Obviously, this time round for Blue Horns, is that just a last-minute drive, or is this something that potentially could recur for the rest of the season?
Honestly, my best answer for that is just we'll wait and see. Honestly, maybe I'll do more races, maybe I won't. It's something I'll definitely have to have a think about, but who knows? Maybe I'll be back.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Thank you for joining us this season in Formula Sprint 2, and hopefully you'll get the podium next time out if you stay.
Well, hopefully so. Fingers crossed.
Thanks, Tina. Right, Alex.
That's all we have. That's all those
the round is over. Yes, good stuff. Well, thank you for joining me. Have you got some words of wisdom? I doubt it, but we'll see.
Words of wisdom? No, I never have words of wisdom. We've got 4 more events for you to watch. Yes, we've got FS1
yes.
on Thursday, Academy on Monday, Super Lights on Tuesday, and then Super League on the Thursday after that. All apart from Academy at the Nurburg. So make sure to tune in for that, and probably more serious commentating, but less enjoyable. Obviously, we're the best series out there. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else to say. Toby.
Well, speak for yourself. You're right though. I've had a really nice time. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Fabian Jungbluth. Once again on cameras in Formula Sprint 2. Beautiful stuff. And thank you to everyone for your support and words and comments and everything. It's been good stuff once again, and we always try to make Formula Sprint 2 fun, so we hope you've had a nice time. Join us in 2 weeks' time, and we'll be back. But until then, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.